Sometimes, even the smallest changes can brighten up our future. Design environment from 65 countries share people their designs. America, nature, Europe, sometimes Africa, Oceania and Asia. "27 committee members from 15 different countries. Global citizens reviewed those valuable projects. Sustainability, creativeness and innovation, public and sharing, participation and cooperation, influence and inspiration. Design that embodies all of these values. The most creative approach to looking at the world." For the sustainable daily life, we will light up your path for your endeavors this far to shine brightly in our world.
Welcome them with a big hand. Looks like all four of them are up on the stage. Then let's introduce themselves one by one. I'm going to pass the microphone to the moderator.
Hello everyone, I am Kim Byung-soo. I'll briefly explain about the Mission It. Mission It targets people with disabilities and elderly population, so the marginalized people. So we identify and draw insights from their user experience. So we target people with disabilities as well as panic attacks and different diseases. For the past 5 years, we have been working with marginalized people. We have met them more than 200 times to draw insights and to seek expertise. To give you an example, we have a package design for people with visual impairment and also home IoT system implementation and also ADHD patients as well as the literacy projects and cognitive skills development projects. And from the DEI strategy, we develop guidelines as well. Not only that, we also hold social impact exhibitions that is open for all children with or without disabilities. And also we promote growth and self-development of people with visual impairment. We also hold exhibitions focusing on the theme of language. And we meet social value. And we launched the social impact series called MSV to talk about the design for future. So we talk about the vulnerable in terms of transportation, and we want to also ensure safety-oriented design. And nowadays, we are very focused on providing optimized services that is inclusive. So we are working together with many global leaders and influencers. So design is about physical change, and content is a change of cognition, awareness. And when these elements are put together, we believe we can achieve social change. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. We're providing warm services for the visually impaired persons. I am Cho Soo-won from Tuat.
So daily situation for us can come as a big challenge to those who are visually impaired. Actually, my friend suddenly became visually impaired, and I thought about ways to helping this friend. And that's how I came to create an application called Sullivan Plus. So with Sullivan Plus, you'll be able to see your surrounding environment and identify various information like texts and people's faces and so on. So they serve as eyes for people who are visually impaired. And so that led to the development of Sullivan Aid, which is a text reading system, and also a Sullivan Finder, which actually acts as an assistant to the people who are visually impaired. And with collaboration with SK Telecom, we applied multimodal AI service to enhance the service even further. Actual people who are visually impaired would be able to identify the shop, open the door, and go into the shop to purchase items. And Sullivan Plus is being well received by visually impaired people here in Korea, and we are actually servicing across all of the world in different languages, and we have 400,000 people who are using this app. And our software has applied advanced AI technologies to innovate the information accessibility for those who are visually impaired. And we are also taking a step closer to global ESG initiatives. Recently, we worked together with Samsung Electronics, creating Sullivan Plus app and smart things so as to give people who are visually impaired across the globe an experience of using products from Samsung Electronics. And now we are moving towards the hardware area, and we're currently looking into making an entry into the global market. Tuat is serving as another eyes through which people can understand the world. Thank you very much.
네, 대표님
Yes, can you pass me the pointer? Hello, everybody. I am from the ESG Innovation Digital Access Team from SK Telecom, Kim Chun-soo. So we are a telecom company, and we actively develop AI technology as well. So AI technologies are being developed to be readily available for creative uses for the elderly as well as people with disabilities. We're going forward with the barrier-free AI technology. All the technology actually boils down to human. And as you may well know, SK Telecom, we have a campaign called SK Telecom Towards People. So it is through telecommunication that we want to bring people together. And Steve Jobs, who opened the era of smartphones, also sent us the same message. So during his last presentation, when he was alive, he said the following: technology is not enough. Technology should meet humanities to give inspirations all over the world to provide inspirational services. So there is the telecommunication technology, including smartphones, and instead the people with who have hearing disabilities can use sign languages, but at the same time can leverage technologies to be able to understand language better. But now the AI technology can give us more opportunities and values. So when it comes to SK Telecom, together with Tuat and Social Venture and NGO, so we are going forward with the barrier-free technology. We want to enhance opportunities for education, enhance information access, and we want to provide good jobs for many people. And fortunately, the Seoul Design Award recognized our efforts through granting awards as well. So with Tuat, we are developing services for the visually impaired. So you can see up on the screen that we're getting a lot of encouraging messages from many people. And it is based on that we are moving forward to advancing AI so that we can leverage this technology to better our future.
Hello, I'm from Samsung Electronics. I'm the VP of this Customer Experience Insight Group at DA Division. My name is Ibona. And we are always thinking about how our customers can more comfortably use our products. And also, these products, our electronic appliances, help people do their housework, right? And housework is not so fun. No one really wants to do housework, and it's very inconvenient and uncomfortable. And we wanted to reinterpret housework in that regard. In order to use household appliances, you do have to use your senses, hear, touch, see, and so on. And you also need cognitive functions to make decisions. And you also need your muscular activity or motor activity that can push and pull and do a lot of activities. But unfortunately, there are many people who are now unable to use some of these functions. And so we wanted to reduce that gap with regards to using our product. So whether it be hearing or motor skills, there are lots of disabilities. We have taken all of them into consideration. For example, for those who are visually impaired, we would put in some tactile stickers, for example, on our products. And sometimes the default values would be given by sound, for example, for them to have better accessibility. And for those who are hearing impaired, we are actually making an integration with their hearing aid. And for those who have mobility problems, we have also applied related solutions. But overall, the concept Tech for All is being broadened to encompass the scope of being able to raise accessibility for everyone. I know you might have further questions, but I'll address them later. I know that we have so many renowned scholars and experts here today, and I wish that this will be an opportunity for us to create collaboration across various domains. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your introductions. First of all, I have a question for Cho Soo-won. So you've been creating solution apps for visually impaired, and one of what's the biggest considerations you made?
So we create a service for the visually impaired, but I'm not visually impaired, to be honest. And my friend did become visually impaired, but it was her first time to become visually impaired. She's never been visually impaired before. And so AI alone and technology alone was our first step, but that actually ended up being a failure. And although it could be improved more, we received a lot of support and interest from people who are visually impaired. And so we were encouraged by those positive feedbacks and made improvements. And thus that gave birth to the solution that we have today. Thank you very much. So, feedback is very important, and incorporating those feedbacks into product development is also very important. Mr. Kim Chun-soo, I'd like to ask you a question. So among ESG, how did you manage to collaborate with specific business in ESG?
We collaborate with TUWA to enhance the efficiency of visually impaired. And there's also another solution or venture startup that helps the visually impaired or taxi drivers with hearing disabilities to work better. So I think that all of these services lead to support the disabilities, people with disabilities, but that is not what we're pursuing. We're pursuing these initiatives based on collaborative approach. We're not just merely helping them. And the SK Telecom that I'm affiliated with is one of the largest companies in Korea, but I think when it comes to the problem statement, rather, we want to work together with the startups to identify what are the problems that is out there. And we want to also be inspired by the challenging spirit and entrepreneurship from these startups and other social enterprises. However, technologies that require massive capital, and we also need like a brand name to be rapidly disseminate services. These are the strengths that we have. So if we can leverage our strengths and other strengths, we can produce synergies so that we can address or enhance social values as well as address the social pain points. And I think that this has served as a very strategic win-win approach, and we are seeing very big impact coming from it. Yes, thank you very much. So I hope that we will see a more number of companies like SK Telecom to see more collaborations.
Now, Ms. Lee from a big company here in Korea. So can you tell us some strategies or examples of accessibility enhancement that Samsung Electronics is focusing on? Can you actually put the slide on the screen? Yes, thank you very much. So this is a product that was very well received in the market. It's a bespoke AI combo washing machine. So basically, it's a washing machine plus dryer all in one. And as you can see at the front, we call this an AI home, and it has a screen. And a lot of functionalities are embedded in this screen, but I'm just going to talk about accessibility aspect today. So traditionally, washing machines had very small, letters with these like spinning wheel kind of things for you to change the setting, as you know. But as you can see big letters through the screen. So even people who have impairment with regards to their vision can easily use this. I'm sorry, can we go to the front? And also, can you play the video? Thank you. So we have a talkback function like you would do in a mobile phones. So people who are visually impaired can easily change the settings and use the washing machines. And here we have the auto open door function, which means that after the washing is done, the door would open automatically. And for a family use, we put buttons at the front so that the settings could be changed very easily by various family members. And also, there's AI voice assistant function, and you'll be able to give directions in voices. And you can also ask some questions, and it answers for you. And you can say, when AI explains something, you can say, well, set it to that mode, then it automatically sets that mode. So you don't have to see, you don't necessarily have to see it in order to use all of its functions. And the product itself has AI technology embedded, which means that depending on how dirty your laundry is or how much laundry you put in or what fabric your clothes is, the washing machine would determine the amount of detergent that would go into the washing machine and wash it for you accordingly. People who are impaired visually or motor skills impairment, it's good for them, but for example, determining the right amount of detergent to put into the washing machine, it's a discomfort that all of us come across one day or another, right? So if you just put in detergent in a full amount, you won't have to replace the detergent for 2 to 3 months. So the accessibility overall is very much enhanced for every user. And it can be integrated with other devices, and they would exchange data and components so as to raise the convenience of its use. So for example, those who are visually hearing impaired will not be able to hear the voice of the washing machine that the washing has been done, but the washing machine would be connected to the smartphone so that the smartphone will tell you that the washing has been done. And sometimes you would be able, for example, on a hot day when you go outside and you on the way that you come home, you can turn on the AC beforehand, prior to coming home. And also, you can have the lights turned off automatically via your smartphone when you go out of the house, and for you to save more energy. So you can do everything remotely without touching all the functions with your hands. So once again, we've raised our universal accessibility of our products through all the technologies that are available. Thank you. That was an excellent case. And just a couple of years ago, whenever I met people who are visually impaired, they always complained how it was hard to use the washing machines, but the talkback function and the voice recognition function is quite impressive. It looks like you made a lot of advancements in the washing machines, and I'm looking forward to what the future has in place. Now, another question to you, Ms. Lee. As you said before, people who are cognitively or visually impaired, or they can actually face convenience with using these kind of washing machines. But this washing machine is not just for people who are impaired, right? It's for everyone. So why are you always considering universal design? Actually, it's not just people with disabilities that face inconveniences in using these appliances, but as people get older, their muscle function, vision, hearing, it's all going to be deteriorated. And some people might be temporarily be at disability because of certain circumstances. So this kind of situation can occur to anyone. So going back to the example of a washing machine, if you think about washing your clothes, you have to open the door, put in the laundry, put in the detergent inside the little capsule, and also close it. And you have to change your setting and take the clothes out after it's done, and you have to lay out your laundry. So this is a very tedious process. Whether you are cognitively or visually or hearing impaired, they all have different challenges in different process. People who are impaired mobility-wise, they have difficulty in opening the door. People who are visually impaired have difficulty in putting in the right amount of detergent. People who have hearing impairment are not able to hear the washing machine sound indicating that the washing has been done. So once again, I'm sure that everyone here today have probably experienced a situation where you did not realize that the washing has been done and you waited for a long time only to find out that your laundry is just too damp. But once again, we've taken all of that into consideration, making sure that there are various ways through which you would be able to know that the washing has been done, and making sure that you don't have to worry about the right amount of detergent that is put into the washing machine. So this relieves discomfort for everyone, not just for people with disabilities. And this is the way forward, we believe, at Samsung Electronics. I see. So this is very great. You did a lot of things to overcome the challenges that a lot of people are facing.
I have a question for Mr. Kim. So you've been awarded the Seoul Design Award twice for the silent taxi and the Sullivan solution. So I would like to know what you thought when you received these awards. So it was 2 years ago when we submitted a proposal for the silent taxi, a collaborative effort. I was given the good news and I couldn't believe it. And last year, yes, when I suggested that let's go for it, I was awarded again. So I was very fortunate and to go through all of these lucky things. And once you're lucky, but if you receive it twice, then I think that people perceive it in a different way. But anyways, as I said in my introduction, even though you're a big company, you're not always a leader in a specific field, because in addressing social issues, collaboration is the key. We have to leverage the strength of all the stakeholders to seek social innovation. And I think that it was thanks to its uniqueness that was recognized by the award. Of course, the collaborative projects, when we share our projects with the media, they ask us the following questions. So they ask us, is this a way to promote your company? And as for the services for the visually impaired, we often are asked about the questions about the services made by big techs like Amazon and Google and so forth. And a lot of people ask us whether our services can be as sustainable as theirs. So the fact that our services are being recognized by awards, with Coet, we are collaborating for 8 years, and with Tuat, 4 years. And we are drawing a lot of insights and meanings, significant meanings from these initiatives. So from 2 years ago, the high-speed AI services triggered by the ChatGPT are having a big impact, a positive impact on the visually impaired. And this is a common understanding in OpenAI with an NGO. They are leveraging the AI technology for the visually impaired so that they can recognize the objects in front of them. So it is very important to adopt these cutting-edge technologies, and I think that the Tuat and our collaboration is very unique in adopting cutting-edge technologies. So this is not an app, a paid app, so we didn't go for any marketing activities. we just developed some the multimodal AI that can read images was applied. And yes, it is true that the service quality has been enhanced over the year. So when it comes to the usage and the download number, all of these figures have grown rapidly. So given this fact, I think that the award was given for us to encourage us further to do make our efforts. And it is very important to pull all of our ideas together to develop a business model. And I think that we got a lot of encouragement and recognition for our efforts. Yes, ensuring sustainability of a company that requires collaboration and continued effort. So I would like to also ask the question to Ms. Jo, who is the developer of the SULab Plus. Yes, AI is very important and relevant. So how bright of a future can AI bring us?
So no matter how advanced AI becomes and how advanced technology becomes, without the effort of trying to apply those technologies into the right domains in an appropriate manner, they're just going to be all useless, right? So the multimodal AI that we worked together with SK Telecom was made possible because they were so supportive. And so a lot of people who are visually impaired across the globe really benefited from that technology. And technology is really going ahead of us. But when it comes to people who are socially vulnerable, we need to make the effort to make sure that these technologies play for the benefit of those people through universal design, or else these technologies are just going to be meaningless. So whether it be designers or different experts and stakeholders in different domains, everybody has to work together to understand universal design and its meaning better. And more people need to take interest for these technologies to really benefit our lives. Thank you. So she talked about the importance of universal design, and that sounded like a really wonderful concluding remark. But here is a common question related to universal design. So this is a question that I'd like to ask all three of you. What do you think universal design is, and in what direction should it evolve in the future? Mr. Kim, can you answer first?
Yes. So when it comes to universal design, I think that we received this question in advance, so I thought about the answer a little bit. So I think that it is like a teacher that makes you disciplined, but at the same time has a very warm-hearted, because our company develops a lot of app services and it helps a lot of people with different types of disabilities. So it is very important for us to assess the efficacy of these services. And when we listen to the voices of the developers out on the field, they say that they have a lot of challenges. For example, in the visually impaired, there are all of these different impairments, and the level of impairment is all different. So that is why they have to build the capacity or capability to be able to provide customized services according to different levels of impairment and disability. So these tasks are quite challenging and daunting. But at the same time, that is why you need to meet these high expectations. And if you continue to do so, I think that you grow in some way and you develop your skills. And we can also be very keen to the detailed needs of the customers. And I think that all of these efforts led us to achieve these goals. So what we wish for the future is that we want to get together all of these efforts together. In the beginning, it can start off as a services just for the people with disabilities and children with disabilities. But overall, I think that these type of services can benefit everybody. So people with non-disabilities as well, without disabilities as well. So I think we might need a chance of serendipity, but I think that if we continue to challenge and pursue the challenge, we'll be able to share with you some very good and excellent universal design cases. Thank you very much.
Ms. Jo, can you answer the question as well? For people who are visually impaired to easily ride the buses, we're trying to create an AI system that can read the number of the buses. It's currently being tested, and we're not doing it in the city of Seoul, but in Daegu because that's where our company is located. And it seemed to work very well. It seems that the system can really recognize the number of the buses. And so we wanted to test that out here in Seoul, now that we are here, but then the system couldn't recognize the number of the buses here because the buses in Daegu have these numbers in big letters on the side of the bus, and they also are marked with the main destination or the bus stops. But here in Korea, the texts on the side of the buses were very small and very hard to recognize. And the other sides of the buses are all covered with ads and pictures. Yeah, so it looks like capitalism really played a big role in designing the buses here because of the ads. But universal design, you asked me what that is, and I'm not visually impaired, but I find it easier to read the bus numbers when the texts are large enough. So I hope that's not just the designers, but the policymakers who will become more aware of this issue. And that's when true change can take place one by one. So here in Korea, whenever the persimmon tree bears fruit, we always leave one persimmon on the tree so that the magpies can eat it, right? So if we have a warm heart towards magpies, we definitely should have a warm heart towards people, I believe. Okay, Ms. Lee? This was a very difficult question for me, and I thought a lot about it. At Samsung Electronics, we have employees who have disabilities, and also we have something called Samsung Family Supporters who support those employees and their families. It's an advisory group, and we would go visit them and observe how they're living. And before we launch a certain product, we would have them assess those products. We would meet on a periodic basis to combine ideas. But what really frustrated me was that whenever I asked them, like, how do you find this feature? How do you find this product? They would answer, wow, I never knew such product existed. And I don't think I will be able to really use it in my daily life. And I really wanted that to not be the case for those people. So we don't want anyone to be left alone, and we want people to be able to use the household appliances without having to receive help from a third party. And we want to make sure that design expands to cover the scope of not being visually pleasing, but also it's about facilitating experience, and we need collective wisdom in order to realize this. So rather than making household appliances of different physical design, we want a household appliance that can be universally used by everyone with any problem, and that is universal accessibility and universal technology in our own terms. Thank you very much for your valuable input.
Yes, so while listening to your presentation, I'm reminded by my experience. I had a chance to meet a visually impaired couple, and they had a baby, and they had to make baby formula for the baby, but it was not very difficult for them to do like these daily tasks. So if you think about what you have to do to help them, it's really help them and support them so that they can be independent and do these tasks on their own. So going forward, if we are to pursue universal design, combining technology and design, we have to give more options for the users. And at the same time, we have to be able to allow them to become independent so that they can freely handle and do their tasks. So I would like to once again thank our three panelists for joining us for the talk. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please give a big hand to the moderator and three panelists. So we're now going to, I would like to thank the four participants of the panel discussion for your interesting discussion. So that was that for the first panel discussion. Now we will move on to the second panel discussion. The second session will be held under the theme of Design Changed My Day in Harmony with Society, focusing on examples of how public design has transformed society. we will invite up on stage four distinguished guests. This year's Seoul Design Awards advisor and CEO of the Social Innovation Impact Investment Company, MY Social Company, Mr. Kim Jong-tae, will come up on the stage and he will serve as the moderator. And I would like to invite up on stage the person who delivered the keynote speech earlier and a judge for the Seoul Design Awards and the founder and president of Desis Network, Mr. Ezio Manzini. I'd like to invite up on stage Mr. Ji Jong-woo, the principal architect of EUS Plus Architecture, winner of the 2021 award, and also CEO of Jerry Bag, the 2023 award winner, Mr. Park Jung-yeol, who will join us as panelists. I would like to, they are already up on stage, so we will proceed with the moderator starting off. Please welcome them with a big hand. Hello everybody, I am Kim Jong-tae, serving as the moderator. I am making investments and the direction of our investment is related with social innovation, and I think that I was chosen as the moderator to lead the session. Can you go to the next page? The role that we play is to create social changes, but at the same time invest where the social changes are taking place. So the social polarization, economic inequality, and climate crisis, these are very complex challenges. But how can we address these challenges through investment? So our investment is based on design thinking. I used to work for the UN, and I have been very much interested in social and climate issues. I realized that these are not just phenomenon-related or issues, but it involves many different social, economic, and environmental factors. It has a deep history, a rooted history, and I came across design thinking while working for the UN, and actually our company published all of these publications in Korean. So today, we're not going to focus on my case, but we're going to talk about the design, how it is doing its best to address social, environmental, cultural issues. So we are joined by three panelists, so we will briefly listen to their introduction. First of all, Mr. Ezio Manzini, please welcome him with a big hand.
A brief introduction of yourself, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Ezio Manzini. I come from Italy. I spent large parts of my professional life in the Politecnico of Milano, where I was a professor, researcher, and mainly designer, because my idea of being professor and researcher is to do some projects and afterward to be reflexive on the project that we do. And now I am retired from the Politecnico. I'm honorary professor at Politecnico. I am a guest professor in some universities around the world. And I founded an international network that is called Design for Social DESIS, Design for Social Innovation towards Sustainability.
네, 감사합니다. 우리 지으신 많은 책 중에 하나가 모두가 디자이너가 되는 시대 읽어보셨죠?
So it looks like you wrote a book, which I read 5 to 6 years ago, and I got your autograph, the design where everyone designs, and it's also displayed in my bookshelf. So thank you very much once again for signing the book.
지정우 건축.
Next is architect Ji Jong-woo. Please welcome him with a big hand. Hello, everybody. I am from EUS Plus Architecture. I'm the co-founder. And we are very much focused on the spaces for next generation. And when it comes to next generation, I think that that equals space in itself. So we leverage different keywords to design these spaces. So we are focused on participatory types of projects where we engage and involve children. So there's the pavilion made by college students. And all of these processes lead to other processes inside the museums. So we have created many types of pavilions. We try to provide unprecedented and unique spatial experience. And when it comes to creating playground for children, we work with them to make collage and mock-ups. So we do co-development and we share the results. So this is a new approach that we're taking in terms of design. So children who play here will not apply design from the conventional way, but they are inventing and reinventing design. And when it comes to the library, we set aside or we create very special spaces. And as for this project, it was done 2 years ago, and it was awarded from the Seoul Design Award as well. Thank you very much. Yes, so the 우주로 1216 project. Actually, my hometown is Jeonju, 전라북도, so I'm happy that this project is taking place over there.
알겠습니다.
Now to Mr. Park Jr. of Jerry Bag, can you please give him a big hand? Hello. I'm CEO of Jerry Bag. My name is Park Jung-yeol. And our project was conducted in the country of Uganda in order to solve two issues faced by children who are carrying water every day. First of all, children have physical difficulties in carrying a heavy can of water, and they're easily prone to car accidents. And so these are two challenges that I wanted to resolve, and I knew I could resolve as a product designer. So I began to think about ways to solve these two issues at the same time. And I thought about a sustainable solution that can solve this issue. And there are a lot of NGOs in this area that are giving sewing training to women. And I thought that I could work together with these women to create what is called jerry can, a water can carrying backpack that children can use. So once again, so I made this backpack. By the way, the cans that the children carry are actually named Jerry Bag. And we were thinking about an efficient design together with the local residents. And we gave this bag to the students or the children, and they began to use this as a book bag instead of this bag for carrying the cans. And I thought that maybe I designed this wrong. But then later I realized that it's really up to the end users how to use this bag, whether it be a water can bag or a book bag. But anyway, so we decided that then with that putting that aside, we wanted to enhance safety. So we put some safety elements to the bag so that these kids will not be prone to car accidents. But I realized that these kids actually did not really have any books to fill the bags with, so we wanted to go further into the educational domain together with this bag. And since 3 years ago, we were funded by KOICA to create a sustainable design center, working together with the community residents to make sure that our design can be used efficiently by the residents. Thank you very much, Mr. Park Jung-yeol. I actually visited your studio in Uganda, and you gave me Jerry Bag back then. I still have that in my home, and it's so amazing to know that you're still carrying on this initiative. Now I have 1 to 2 questions to each panelist, and I have a common question. First of all, to Ezio Mangini. So you have a lot of design career, but what has design accomplished for social innovation? Can you summarize based on your design career? And we have so many global challenges that are facing us today. And how far can design go to tackle these challenges?
I will spend 30 seconds to explain a term. Social innovation happens before design, or at least before the intervention of expert designers. So social innovation is designed, but it's designed by people that invent something to do. And the professional designer eventually enter in a second phase. So when I say that I'm dealing with the social innovation, it means that at a certain point in my life, I recognized that there was a lot of good ideas that was emerging in the society. So instead of having to invent myself something, I could focus on something that is happening and show them as a prototype. Afterwards, very often, it's very important to move this idea on and to make it more solid, lasting in time, etc. There could be the need of some expertise of a designer as us. So the first question, in my view, is more what social innovation did for design than what design did for social innovation, because social innovation showed to the designer that it was possible in this society to do something differently. And this, for me, is it's very, very important to be said. Once that we said, what is the core of all the story for me? The core of all the story, I was also telling it this morning, but I like to repeat it, is the two terms, collaboration and care. So what design can do is to work with people to develop opportunities for collaboration. So collaboration is something that is part of our we are social animals, so we are supposed to be capable to collaborate. But as every human gift, it can be developed or it can be killed. Our society is de-skilling us in the capability to collaborate for several reasons that now we don't have the time to talk about, but also some good reason by a certain point of view. In any case, every society in the pre-modern era was based on collaboration between people. The modern era generates the de-skilling in the capability and possibility to collaborate. Now the catastrophic environmental and social situation in which we are show that we have to reskill ourselves in collaborating. So more or less all the projects that are interesting today have as one of the points help people to restart to collaborate. The difference of the collaboration of today in relation to the pre-modern collaboration is that the pre-modern collaboration, so at least I don't know how it was in Korea, for instance, but in Italy, the country people was normally collaborating one with the other because they could not do everything alone. But this was normal, it was a kind of natural way. So they have not to design how to collaborate because all the system of the traditional way of doing push people to collaborate. This has been lost, and now we have to create conditions in which we rediscover how to collaborate. And we cannot, personally, I will not go back to the village of the past, of course. So it's a collaboration by choice. So we have to create conditions in which people choose to collaborate. Today, for instance, this morning, we have seen a project in which people practice the co-living, to live together, sharing some services. In the past, there was co-living, it was normal. In many villages, in many cultures, people was sharing something. But this was something that came from the traditions. Now that that tradition is lost, and we have been pushed to live in our boxes, one separated from the other ones, if we want to restart, to collaborate, for instance, sharing some service in residence, that is the co-housing or co-living systems, we have to design them. And to design not only physically, but also help people to reestablish how to do things together. It's okay?
잘 들으셨죠?
I hope that resonated with you.
I don't know how long I have to speak.
네. 제가 질문을 소셜 이노베이션
So I asked him how social innovation has design accomplished for social innovation, but he talked about how social innovation has accomplished for the design. And to that end, collaboration and care are two key elements that we really need to take going forward. And now collaboration has become a choice. So whenever I talk to design experts here in Korea, when I talk to them about this concept, some people really like it. Some people are fearful of them because they're like, "What? Isn't that going to risk our job?" But I'm going to ask that question to Mr. Manzini later on.
Now, my question goes to architect Ji Jung-woo. So when you design a space, is there something special or a special approach that you take when you design a space for the next generation? So is there something that you really want to convey or realize by making these type of spaces? When it comes to the future generations or next generation, compared to the older generation, they are the vulnerable in terms of space. So in the decision-making of the process, they do not take part of it. So that is why they're in a very passive situation, and there are elements that need to be adopted, but the sense of ownership is lacking because they do not take an active participation in the space decision-making process. But when it comes to space, it can serve as a text as well. So a lot of educational facilities or entities these days are very much keen on creating spaces for the next generation and the future generation. And these institutions are creating more and more spaces like this. So as for the older generations like us, of course, we should not just be focused and mired in the simple process of exchanging ideas and getting feedbacks, but at times we can suggest ideas to them, and at times we can gain ideas from them. So be based on mutual cooperation, and the overall process will be participatory, and that will lead to the realization of the actual space. As the moderator or as the panelists just said, the collaboration is one of the key elements in promoting these type of spaces. So for the next generations, if they can collaborate with the expert designers based in the form of partnership, then I think this process, when they increase, will bring about huge changes. One of the translated publication, we published a book called Make Space from Stanford University, and it was translated into Korean. And the subtitle of Make Space was collaboration. So depending on the space layout or space design, collaboration can become different. So I think that we've seen some actual cases through our panelists today, and I will ask for more questions to talk about these cases.
So you talked about jerry bag and the jerry can that is being held inside those bags. So did you ask the kids to create these bags when you asked them what they need, or was it just your instinct that told you that they need these kind of bags? So whenever they hear the name Jerry bag, they think my name is Jerry, but my name is not Jerry. By the way, my name is Jungyeol, which means that my initials are JY, right? The beginning and the end of Jerry, but that's just a coincidence. But these African kids actually carry a water can called Jerry can, and this is very symbolic of the water carrying practice that children are practicing in Africa. And that perked my interest initially as a designer, how that became symbolic of the natural environment in Uganda. And after gaining a deeper understanding of these jerry cans, I thought about a way to helping the children. But my conclusion was that I cannot help them in every aspect. But as a product designer, I would at least be able to help them by discovering what the real physical challenges are. So once again, the physical challenges and the risk and the vulnerability that children face because of the cars that are driving by were two of the things that I thought I could solve for the children. So Mr. Manzini talked about importance of collaboration. And, I was a Korean, and I was new to this new environment in Africa, right? I could not do anything alone. But there are a lot of NGOs and international organizations that are in Africa. And I thought about the possibility of working with them, and through them, working with the local people. And I thought that a simple way to work together with local people is to create bags. And by working together with them, we were able to identify and expand more on these ideas. First, it was all about just helping them carry a water can, but it went further into safety and education, and it just naturally expanded, which was a very interesting experience for me. So once again, this is titled Design Changed My Life, and the changes are possible through collaboration. At first, he thought about how can I help the kids carry water more conveniently, but then he met in an unexpected situation where kids actually use those bags as book bags, but he expanded that further to go into the educational domain. Okay, now another question to Mr. Ezio Manzini. Now, if anyone can be a designer, our expert designers might feel uncomfortable with that. So what words of encouragement can you give to expert designers going forward? And how can we convey the message that you also need to become designers to non-expert designers?
It's true. I wrote a book. It's not the last one. I wrote many books later. But this was 3 books ago. It was Design When Everybody Designed. And the fact that I said that everybody designed is not my choice. It's not the fact that I would like that everybody design. It's that when you have to do something, also in your private life, and you cannot follow the tradition, because the tradition means I do things as they have always been done. And when you can do it, it's very good, because normally the tradition is very wise, because it's based on a long experience. But when you are in a condition in which you cannot follow the tradition, and if you come from the countryside and you arrive in the city, you cannot follow the tradition. So if you cannot follow the tradition, you are obliged to do what? To imagine how to organize things and to try to put together what is needed to make it. And to see that you have a problem, to organize your resources, and to imagine where to go, this is design. So the design capability is a gift of everybody. It's human. It's the critical sense plus imagination plus practical sense. And this is spread on all the human being. Afterward, there are some moments in which you are asked and some moments in which you are not asked to use it. You are not asked when you can move in the business as usual or in traditional. But when things change so fast, willing or not, conscious or not, you are continuously asked to design something. Therefore, I think that what we have to do, we, the expert designer, who are we? We are as all the other human beings, but we have the luxury to spend some time making more experience, learning from what has been done, knowing some methodology, developing our creativity. And what we can do is to help this large co-design process that happens in any case and help to move in a direction that's more interesting for the individual, for the community, and for the planet. I know that many professional designers say, oh, my God, but if everybody design what we are to do, my answer is quiet. It's important that you understand that things are changing, but if more people designs in a spontaneous way, there will be more need of expert designer. I give you an example. If nobody likes to sing, you do not need so many teachers of singing. If everybody sings, you need more teachers of singing. So if the number of people that in some way is involved as an individual or as organization in design activities, somebody that help these design activities will be more and more needed, because this is, everything has to be designed. Our problem, and I finish because I know that I have to finish, is that sometimes the design community, so the design expert, are not capable to recognize how many design questions emerge into the society, and they are not recognized. And so if I say, okay, there is this, for instance, in the city making, if you think of the city making, the normal people say, okay, it's an issue for architects and an issue for planners. But if you look what is the city is much more than planning and buildings. It's a lot of services, a lot of communication, a network of networks of many different ways of being together, and all this has to be designed. So we, and now I talk for the designer as me, we have to be capable to say, look, in the making of the city, there are so many things that have to be done. And the difficulties is to be capable to be recognized. And this is our fault if we are not recognized as somebody that has something to say beyond the chair, the lamp, the washing machine, and the car. that is, or the telephone, that is what normally is recognized as a field of action for the designer. Okay?
잘 들으셨죠?
Yes, so for this reason, when I introduce myself, I call myself a social innovator and social designer. I think time has come when I can introduce myself like that, even though I didn't major in design. We made about 200 investments, and we have about 7 designers out of the 80 people working in my company. So I think that if we have more and more people who have understanding about design, we can accelerate social innovation and social change. So Ji Jung-woo, can you elaborate more on your project Ujuro 1216? So what were the expected outcome, and are there some elements that you want to add later on? As for the Ujuro 1216, it's a library open for children aged 12 to 16. So teenagers in that age, they tend to no longer visit libraries because they cannot go to the children's section and they cannot go to the adult section. So they need sort of like their own space for reading. And I wanted to create a space for the so-called twin generation. So there are twin generation spaces that are being created in many other libraries in Europe and in the US. So that doesn't have really like a definitive form. So we have to be context specific when we create these type of spaces. So we build these spaces together with the users. So the users are teenagers from 12 to 16. So together with these twin generation, we held a workshop to design the space. And in the process, we wanted to go for more open space where we can see what other people are doing. Today, I'll be doing this activity, but maybe while looking at the other person, you might think, I want to do that activity tomorrow. Or you might be, reading, but when you're seeing other person performing, you want to try out performing later on as well. So there are all of these stimulus and exchanges of stimulus going on in this space. So we wanted to materialize that. And 우주로 means 우주 means space, but at the same time in English, it's like 우주, like you're asking somebody to do something or inviting someone to do something. But 우주 also means like space and universe. So the name comes from that meaning as well, where teenagers can get together in this place and make and explore. It's been 4 years since we created this space, and we continue to develop contents and programs. So these programs and contents are created not by one-sided elements. So it's a two-way creative process, and I think that instills power of the space. Yes. I think that if we can involve a lot of participation in a space, I think it can be very satisfactory. Actually, in our company, a lot of people move around their office spaces every 6 months. And where I sit next to the door. So I think that that's one of the impact of the participatory design. And now, as a startup founder, I want to know about the philosophy of Jerry Bag that you want to carry forward.
So to put it simply, because we don't have much time, so when I met Professor, I was just so honored because when I went to Uganda, I was actually doing a master's in Finland, and I actually read Professor Ezio Manzini's book when I was studying for my master's degree. So I was just so honored to hear his remark today in person. And I'm sorry, what was the question? Yeah, Jerry Bag's sustainability as a startup going forward. Oh, so the sustainability that we believe is that I think I had the belief that if I did not take part in this project, it would not be sustainable because a lot of projects actually need to come up with an output during a certain amount of time with a given budget, but they're usually not maintained for a long time. A lot of projects do not take long-term impact into account. but I really wanted to make my project sustainable and long-lasting, which means that my life has to be a part of it. And the experiences that I gain within my life will give inspiration to the product. The product will evolve continuously, and that will create sustainability. And with that belief, I worked on this for 10 years. Wow, they say that if your startup lasts for 10 years, only 15% of them survive for 10 years, but this is amazing, right? Please give them a big hand. So once again, this was Design Changed My Life session, but I hope that we'll be able to have a session later on in the future titled Design That Will Change My Life. And with that, we'd like to conclude. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the moderator and the panelists for being with us for the second session.
이제 2부 행사의 마지막 세
So now we're down to our last session, session 3. So it's about harmony with the environment, focusing on the theme of design from nature, for nature, and with nature. We're going to be showcasing upcycling design cases. We have Mr. Jukka Saivolainen, the advisor for this year's Seoul Design Award, and also the Director of Public Affairs at AD Museum. As panelists, we have CEO Kwak Jeon of Trashbusters, the winner of 2021 Seoul Design Award, and Mr. Lee Yeon-jae from Design Lab Crete, which designed the award plaques for Seoul Design Award. And we also have Choi Yeon, CEO of Continue. Now let's go ahead and begin the third session. Please give them a big hand.
Hello everyone, it's nice to be here in Seoul. My name is Jukka Savola, like said, I work with the AD Museum in Helsinki, Finland, but I'm not going to talk about the museum here. But I thought that as an introduction, I would tell a little bit or four perspective into design as I see the design today, and kind of four perspectives that I feel that are quite present in Finnish design. First, if we think about design as a societal agent, it means designing for everyone. And like I've heard before today as well, it's not only human, but it's actually our planetary system that we need to keep in mind, because that's the only way we can be sustainable. The other is, like we heard before in the previous session, when we need to design new, it's not only about improving the things we are and making them better and more efficient, but we need to radically renew our ways of thinking and ways of making in order to be sustainable for the future. Third thing that is kind of pressing in Finnish design is we need to do more with less. We are overspending our resources all the time, and the question is how we can kind of design in a clever way and make more with less resources. And the final, in order to be sustainable, we are always planning and designing at a time that we live in and for the moment, but if we are able to design kind of a timeless designs and works, then time doesn't burden them, but they actually live for a long time, which I think is key. So those were my 4 points, but now we will go forward with Javon Kwak, and I'm sorry I kind of destroy your names, from CEO Trustbusters. Would you please explain a little bit about your work and company?
축제 행사장 일회용품, 야구장 일회용품, 그리고 장례식장 일회용품, 카페 일회용품, 배달음식 일회용품, 심지어 영화관까지도 일회용품. 1년에 1952만 톤의 일회용품들이 버려지고 있습니다. 전 세계적으로 재활용률은 9%밖에 되지 않습니다. 그 심각한 일회용품 문제 누군가 해결해야 되지 않겠습니까? 그 2019년
In August 2019, I was a festival director, and I knew that there were lots of trashes coming out from the festival. So based on a hypothesis, I conducted a test. So it was a festival gathering 3,000 people, and in this festival, Trashbusters made multi-use items, and we distributed. Usually the plastic bags, 400 of them would be produced, but we could reduce that number to just 5 trash bags. So we were very encouraged and empowered by that experience. So based on that experience, actually a lot of spectators and the participants sent very positive feedback. So there were lots of messages on the SNS, and that led me to found my company. So I went on a very unfortunate path. But anyways, if you go to a festival, well, that's one of our target, but we can also target like cafes and the canteens in companies. So we can reduce about 130,000 items. We can reduce those weights, and that could cover about the city of Gimpo.
On your leave,
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 랩
Hello, I'm designer. My name is Ihyunjae from Labcrete. So laboratory plus concrete is where our name comes from. So we do a lot of experimentations using concrete. And recently, we've gone beyond concrete to explore and test with other materials as well. And our recent works involve trash issues and recycling issues. And we are making them into visual patterns. So I'm just going to give you some cases, some projects that we worked on recently. So this is the process of creating the trophy for the Seoul Design Award this year. And we use marine waste to create the trophies, plastics, fish nets, and also seashells that were thrown away after people eating the meat. And so we tested them, and using those seashells, we created these trophies, as you can see on the screen. So it looks very much familiar to you, I'm sure, because we used a pattern of the mother of pearl technique that we use here in Korea. And also the packaging itself considers sustainability as well. So we did not use bond or glue, strong glue, but we used bolts to make sure that these are all held together. So these are some merchandises that we made, and also we used various patterns to create these designs. These are using plastics. These are small flower pots in a modular way. And these were made using construction waste. We see a lot of cobbles and concretes that are being thrown away in construction sites, and we've put them together to make these objects. And also, we use waste vases or thrown away vases. We combine them together with concrete to come up with various patterns for the objects. And these are acrylic panels that were thrown away after the building of a new building for Amora Pacific, and we actually made the company logo based on those wastes. So once again, we are always trying to explore with various recycling materials and, playing them out with visual patterns. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know that there are quite a few nominees here waiting to see the trophy in real life, but soon. But now, Yohin Choi from CEO of Continue, please.
반갑습니다. 컨티뉴입니다. 컨티뉴는
Hello, I'm from Continue. Continue focuses on industrial waste. We upcycle these wastes for resource circularity. And the reason we focused on industrial waste is because as for the household waste, they represent only about 9% of overall waste. Industrial wastes represent 91%, but we're not really aware of that problem. And especially we're focused on automotive industrial wastes. And for example, there is the seat belts and the airbag components that come from automobiles. So we have four-step roadmaps. But if I briefly explain about it, we first of all have to answer whether these materials are recyclable, and we also have to assess whether these materials can contribute to environmental sustainability, because while upcycling process, we should not produce a lot of CO2s. So even if we use recycled materials, and if that is more sustainable, can that be proven? How can we verify and how can we prove that? And Based on that, we also think about how we can drive sustainability revolution. So it's based on these values that we seek to create value. So there are different steps from collection to product design. So we collect a lot of data in all of these steps. If we collect waste, we actually assess what kind of fuels that we use to go to that destination, to collect how much of waste and how much CO2 was emitted. And if we use water in the factory, and if we use tap water, how much of that did we use and how much of that is wastewater. So we collect all of this data and we think about how we can achieve net zero, which is a very shared common goal. So all of the electricity in our company, it comes from renewables, and the water, we use rainwater. And as for the wastewater coming from rainwater, we filter it again and we use it as a cleaning water. So we try to make water footprint and carbon footprint zero. And all of this process is verified by a third party, and we try to continue to prove this to the consumers. So we're very keen on environmental sustainability. There are 8,000 apparel brands in Korea, and we are the only company who has the global B Corp certification and with the third-party verification as well. Thank you.
Fantastic project and example. I have two questions for each designer and then a common question, but I'm going to bundle the two questions together because we're a little bit pressed for time, and we are the last gatekeepers before the award ceremony can start, so we will not keep that from happening. Jae-won Kwai from Trashbusters. When it comes to sustainability, if it's of course a huge issue with a lot of questions, what in your view are the kind of key points or most necessary when thinking about sustainability? And also to kind of continue with Trashbusters, you want to be a kind of a system changer. How do you think you have you done? Have you been able to change the system, or how do you see that in the future?
When it comes to sustainability, since we run a company, and the company has to be run so that we can deliver the message of sustainability as well. And the biggest thing that we consider as important is that, we are competing against single-use items. And when it comes to single-use disposable items, we want to know about their impact on the market because you have to know the enemy to be able to fight it. So we try to, if we can win over single-use in terms of use, then that will help us to minimize cost as well, because cost is a very big agenda for us. So we conducted a 4-year R&D, and finally we came up with a lower cost of goods compared to disposable items. The company in itself has to be sustainable business-wise so that we can continue to implement our sustainability initiatives. So I think that technology is the key to everything. There are many other companies who are engaged in the same business. Usually they collect and they clean the waste and they resupply it. This is the kind of process that they have, but they suffer because of the cost. So because they fail to achieve cost effectiveness. So we are very focused on overcoming that challenge, and we managed to do so. And I think that that is one of the important elements to consider.
Very good, and I like your point, and I think it's a very valid point that in the system that we live in nowadays, with the economic model and the corporate model, the solutions need to be economically viable as well in order to achieve sustainable change. So I completely agree. But if we continue to Lab Create, can you please explain a little bit about the material choices and the ecological values behind them for the trophy? And also, if you can also elaborate a little bit. I know that trophy design is very, very difficult because there's so many different trophies out there. So now, having done the Seoul Design Award trophy for a couple of years, how you see the trophy and its life in the future, please.
우선은 작년에 이어서
So yeah, it's my second year for making trophy for Seoul Design Award, which gives me great honors. And when we research about materials, I did talk about this a bit earlier, but what we focused on was marine waste, which is a big issue these days. As a designer, I always look at the wastes and try to recycle them, try to do a lot of experimentations. But experimentation is one thing, and applying them for actual use in projects is another. And we actually need to be able to commission with these kind of projects. And we were commissioned by a company using fishnets. They wanted us to use the fishnets, wash them, categorize them, and pulverize them into a certain size. And thus that really helped facilitate this project because of that experience. And to elaborate just a bit more about the trophy itself, shape-wise, we want it to be simple, because I wanted to emphasize the materials in itself in terms of creating a circular economy or circular ecosystem. So we kept the form or the shape very simple, and I used discarded seashells to give that feel of the mother of pearl that we have here in Korea. And usually it's abalones that we use for the mother of pearl, but this time I actually used a Murex top shell, which are very common in the Jeju Island area of Korea. But we do have a lot more materials that are unrecyclable. Nevertheless, I believe that we would be able to help if we can try to recycle even more of the products that can be recycled so as to contribute to the environmental issue that we are facing today. And also, we try to be really considerate with the packages these days, the packaging of the trophy. Usually, after people receive the trophies, the packages are thrown away, right? But so last year, we actually melted wasted plastics to create a mold. And based on the mold, we created a case. We actually bind them together not with glue but with bolt, because if they're dismantled with a bolt, then we can always reuse that plastic. And also we use mushroom mycelium these days. If that is thrown into the ground or into a pot, it will be biodegraded within 50 days based on the mushroom mycelium. So this is our idea of sustainability, our answer to the issue of sustainability, and that is reflected on the trophies and the cases. And when we're doing a study with a lot of materials, Seoul Design Award was just so welcoming with all the ideas that we proposed, which highly encouraged us. It was a very positive experience.
Very good to hear. The relationship between the client and the design is always very, very important to get a good result. And so much looking forward to seeing those trophies in real life soon. But to continue, can you please explain a little bit about the story of the company and its way of working? And I like the way that you kind of describe one of the missions is that giving newness to old or forgotten things. Can you elaborate a little bit on that one? And can you also then continue a bit about how you see upcycling design? How will it change with technological advancements and with shifts in consumer trends? Where do you see the future?
Okay.
Yes, adding freshness to what is forgotten, what that means is that it doesn't mean that we're justly recycling what has been abandoned. The meaning actually goes beyond that, meaning that the abandoned resources, those used resources, if they can be turned into usable resources again, then I believe that we have to make sure that they will not produce additional pollutions after being recycled. And it was in that sense I said that we have to add the freshness to the forgotten things. So of course we have to use newness in order to promote more sustainability. And afterwards, second aspect is, even though no matter how sustainable our product is, it's going to be disposed one day. There's nothing that is everlasting, maybe gold, but all the other things, they will be disposed one day and thrown away. So how are we going to prepare for that post-disposal process? And how can we help the resource circularity to be improved and promoted vis-a-vis the consumers? And the second question to answer is about the technological advances. To answer this question, I'm going to provide an answer to this question that combines two things. I think that everything is about data. Fashion, when it comes to developing objects or consumables, it's very difficult to apply data or technology. But going forward, when we're making consumables or fashion products, everything should be digitized. The reason I'm saying that is that 8 years ago, the Seoul Foundation, I made a proposal about greenwashing. There are lots of people who are saying that they are sustainable, but we should not be mistaken. Maybe they are doing greenwashing more than others. There is no way to verify it and validate it. And I think that that is the task ahead of us, especially companies putting forward a slogan of sustainability. We should be able to verify it. So it is very important to develop relevant metrics, and we have to assess the impact on the environment, and reducing that environmental impact will be the key.
We agree that we really need to have global metrics of measuring sustainability, because otherwise it's a free game and a really wild game of people greenwashing and using the term and just trying to sell more. I have one kind of a big question for each one of you. Like we heard in the panels before and in the morning sessions as well, about design and the role of design. I'm a real believer that design can be a change maker, and it should be a change maker, because it's such a powerful tool, design and the imagination and creativity that lies behind there. How do you see your practice, or in general, being part of this change that we try to achieve more sustainable, but it needs to be sustainable ecologically, socially as well? And what's your view on the responsibility of the designers in finding more sustainable solutions? Designers can't solve these problems alone. Nobody can. These are wicked problems affecting all of us. But I believe the designers should be part of the solution. What's your take on it? Do you want to start?
I'm not a design major, by the way. But the mission of our company is that, by the way, we are all, our team, everyone is from art college, and we believe that art should be able to change the world. So that's the very principle that our business is based on. And we believe that any project that we do that is not helpful to society, we should suspend it, whether it be R&D or development or whatever, in whatever stage that may be. We only have one life to live. And what we need to leave behind in this very life is something that can be reusable, a system that is reusable. So instead of us introducing ourselves as being, a company that produces or provides reusable products, we call ourselves a system changer, because we are creating a reference for future generation. And we are actually seeing a lot of cases that are following us. We actually did not even have reusable product or reusable vessels in Korea before, but today we're seeing a lot of that terminology being used, and we're seeing a lot of legal systems being created. And so that is a big role that startups like us can play.
That a lot, not being a designer myself either, and it's really the creativity and finding those solutions is most important than the educational background that you come from. So completely agree. Do you want to continue, please? Same question.
Yes. So as Jae-yeon also mentioned before, the concept of recycling for us, or developing a product, the concept for us, up until now, it was like, we developed the product and then we distribute the product and we designed that entire process. But the designers going forward should be more keen on the life cycle of the product from the beginning till end. So even after its consumption, and how it's going to be reused and recycled and upcycled and so forth. So when we conduct a research on the materials, we constantly think about whether this is the best fit or not. Is this material the best fit for the environment, for the ecology? We constantly think about this issue. Anyways, going forward, I think that when designers, they work on a design, I think they should have this type of sense of responsibility or accountability so that the future products will be more keen on environmental sustainability.
Much. Please.
Yes. So I would like to ask the organizer to put up the presentation I had prepared on screen again. I think the question is very relevant. You know, as a designer and as a fashion designer, of course, we have to have a huge sense of accountability and responsibility. And I mentioned about the importance of digitalization, but I think that this is the key to everything. How are we going to digitalize everything? Even though we recycle things, we are not going to call that company a sustainable company going forward. Whether you use the virgin material or the recycled material, what matters is how that material continues to circulate within this loop. I think that's the era that we're talking about. And you have to hold a great accountability, and that should be the role of the company and designer. We're now here at DDP, Dongdaemun Design Plaza, and 2 years ago, there's also another DDP, Digital Product Passport, that came about. And I would like to briefly mention about the digital product passport. So we collect parts from an automotive company, and we record everything about the components and its circulation. So all the data is input based on blockchain, and we can record how it was sold to which customer. And all of these data, if you scan it with a QR code, it's accessible. And then at the end of the cycle, it could be resold, it could be dismantled, disassembled, and then there is the material information. You have to go in there and you have to say, yeah, this material is going to be sustained. It's not going to be disassembled. We have to continue to work about how we're going to sustain that total volume of materials that exist on our planet. And I think that that's the kind of ownership and the sense of responsibility we should have. And going forward, the total amount of material that's available on our planet and how it is consumed should be shared with the consumers, all the relevant information. And I think that the companies should also collaborate one another to promote this trend. Thank you.
And listening to all of you, and you're kind of agreeing with me that designers have a big responsibility, makes me think of Victor Papanek, who was a very influential design thinker in the 1960s, and his book Design for the Real World affected at least the Western design tradition quite a bit. And he wrote that the industrial designer is the most dangerous profession in the world. And listening to you and hearing all the presentations earlier today and all the discussion and the kind of aims that the Seoul Design Award has about using design for the greater good, I would like to believe and hope that we are now able to kind of say that design is the most promising profession for sustainable change. But thank you for a great discussion, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Please give it up for our 4 participants, the moderator, and 3 panelists. So that was a very interesting talk. This concludes the end of the conference. Now we're going to have a short break from now on, and we will proceed with the Seoul Design Award ceremony momentarily. And I think that we have also prepared a special gift for everyone who has cheered for the top 10 winners. So we look forward to your continued participation at the ceremony. Thank you.